What's going on, you guys? It's KP here, bringing you another boxing video. Actually dropped my other iPhone in the water before the fights last weekend, so I couldn't make an immediate post-fight review for Porter Thurman and for Anthony Joshua Brazil, but better late than never, I guess. First, I'll go over the Joshua fight just real quick. Literally went exactly as I predicted. 6 rounds or less, Joshua gets the knockout. I'll give Brazil credit on this though. That guy's tough. I mean, he took some monster shots, and he got up from that first knockdown. And the second knockdown, you could argue he might have been able to get back up again. I mean, the guy was super tough. He was at no point in the fight winning it. He didn't win a second of that fight, but that's a tough guy. You know, if he could sharpen his skills up a little bit, he's got the size, he's got strength and power. Maybe he could make something of himself. I don't think he could ever be a champion, but he's not a bad fighter. I mean, he might be able to do something. Super overrated, but you know, we got to see that against Joshua. And Joshua, of course, showing his class. I think it's tough for me to place him at the top of the heavyweight heap. It's tough because we don't really know where Klitschko's at. You know, him and Fury, the rematch, that's a video for another day. That's probably a 15-minute video in and of itself. But you know, I think at the top you have 4 clear guys. I think you got Klitschko, Fury, Wilder, and Joshua. I think those are the best guys now. And then probably 5th would be Povetkin, maybe. You have that Louis, what's that guy's name? The Cuban. He's a really good heavyweight too. So I mean, heavyweight's actually kind of picked up in the last couple of years when it comes to talent. But you know, Joshua, he's somebody to look out for, guys. 100% knockout ratio. Still young. Still looks like he's improving. And he had an excellent jab in that fight. I mean, he hammered Brazil with that jab. It's not really like a flick jab. It's more like a Larry Holmes jab where he's just pounding you with it like a trip hammer. Just boom, just nailing you. Every time you make a mistake, boom, you get a jab. Every time he wants to set up a combo, you're getting knocked off balance with it, and he's coming behind it with a right hand or a left hook. So, you know, he's technically, Joshua is a very sound fighter. The only thing we really don't know about him at this point is, can he fight if he's being forced backwards? That's the only thing we don't know, because no one's really been able to force him backwards yet. So we'll find out soon enough. But yeah, the fight went like I thought it would go. You know, Joshua winning pretty easy and getting a knockout around the 6th round. I said 6 rounds or less, and that's what happened. Now, on to the Porter-Thurman fight. I'm just gonna come out and say it, guys. I thought Sean Porter won that fight, and I thought he won it kind of easily. 1 second, guys, I got traffic coming, but I don't understand. And you guys know from me, I love guys like Mayweather, Whitaker. I love defensive, smart tactician fighters. So bias is not a part in this. It's not because I picked Porter. You know, if Thurman would have came out there and boxed his socks off, then I would come on here and say, hey guys, I was wrong. But I told you before the fight, I said, this is a hard one to pick. I'm going with Porter by decision. I thought Porter won that fight. I thought he won it pretty clearly too. I didn't think it was that close. I think I had it 8-4 for Porter. The thing about that fight was, there were a few rounds in the first 6 rounds that I thought could have went either way. And I went back and I watched it a couple more times, and the closest I've been able to get it, I did get it to where it was 7-5 for Porter. I have not been able to make that fight a draw. I certainly have not been able to have it where I had Thurman winning the fight. I can't give a guy a fight that wins 30 seconds of every round. And I think everybody scoring that fight that thought Thurman won that fight and watched it live fell into that Ray Leonard trap against Hagler, where Hagler would win the first 2.5 minutes of the round, and then Ray Leonard would flurry it off in the last 30 seconds and he'd steal the round. I don't score fights like that. I don't score rounds like that. I think it's foolish to do so. Porter won the majority of those rounds and won the majority of every minute of those rounds. When you're being forced back to the ropes and the only thing you can do is throw pity-pat shots off the ropes because you're being held against them by an offensive fighter who's throwing combinations, you don't win the round, period. I don't care what you do in the last 30 seconds unless you knock the man down. I mean, so we just discount everything that Porter has done for 2+ minutes of this round because Thurman did something at the end of it. And I remember I was watching live with my buddy, and I was listening to these commentators on Showtime, and I hate to say it, guys, but the fix was in. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the fix was in. Thurman has done commentary for Showtime in the past, and I like Keith Thurman. I think he's a really good fighter. But, I mean, this fight was decided before it was over. I mean, Porter was sitting here bashing him against the ropes, and they're telling you how great Keith Thurman is and how great he's boxing right now. Like, come on. You know, were there spots where Keith Thurman boxed well? Absolutely. There's several rounds you could give him. I couldn't give him the fight. I'm sorry. I thought Porter walked away with this fight going down the stretch. People who gave like the 10th and 11th round to Thurman, I don't know what fight you were watching, because I saw a man get cut. I saw a man get put to the ropes. I saw someone desperately trying to wing power shots going backwards because he was being forced onto his back foot. I didn't see a guy winning a fight. And my buddy also made a good point. My buddy Ryan, he said, you know, if this was I'm scoring a fight, I'm not scoring a match. And I don't agree with that to some extent, because I do score defense, I do score ring generalship. I try to keep that stuff into account. Effective aggressiveness, I try to keep that into account as I'm scoring a round. But I could see his point. Keith Thurman sure as fuck, if that's a fight, Keith Thurman sure as hell didn't win it. He didn't beat Porter up, and he said he hurt Porter. Porter hurt him too. They both hurt each other. It don't matter if you hurt a guy if he comes back and just puts you to the ropes anyways. I don't know. I mean, again, I just didn't see, especially that landed punches. Like, I'm sure that Thurman probably did land a higher percentage. I don't think I've watched this fight 3 times. There's no way in hell Keith Thurman landed more punches than Sean Porter. Either you're not giving Porter credit for body shots, or you're just not watching the fight and you're snoozing it. And I don't know what's going on. Again, was it a close fight? Sure. Wasn't that close. And Thurman, I'm sorry, man. Again, all due respect to Keith Thurman, I couldn't see. I've watched it 3 times, and I've tried to give him other rounds, and I couldn't logically do it, because when you're scoring a round, you don't just go the last 30 seconds like, oh, I guess that guy won the round, because then you fall into the trap. You start saying, oh, well, he threw a 20-punch flurry at the end of this round, but what did he do early on? Keith Thurman, in just about every round, didn't really do a whole lot for the first 1.5 to 2 minutes of the round. Go back and watch it, guys. It's right there in front of you. There's footage of it. Did he have good defense in some spots? Sure. He was no defensive wizard. He was getting hit against the ropes. It wasn't like he was rolling off and going under and slipping every punch. He'd do it to some, but he was still getting hit. You know, I would not say he put on a defensive clinic against Sean Porter. Now, a critique I can give Porter, I don't think that he closed the rounds out properly every time. I was yelling at the TV. I was like, all right, don't let him steal this round. You know, because I know how judges work. They watch the last 30 seconds, most of them, and that's how they scored a round. You know, or they'll watch the first 2 minutes, kind of like, and in the last minute, they're like, oh, well, this is what happened in the round. I don't care about the first 2 minutes. And you always, as a fighter, want to, in the last 20 seconds of a round, you do want to try to finish that round out strong. You want to be throwing something, or you want to be showing off your defense or movement, something. You want to be doing something, especially in those last 20 seconds. And I did think Porter, it just like he didn't want to do anything in those last 20 seconds. And I do think that hurt him. But again, guys, I implore you, when you score each round, keep in your mind, make little notes of who's winning what parts of the round. And I think you'll be surprised at what your scorecard is at the end of the fight, especially if you scored it for Thurman. I think your mind might change. But, I mean, congrats to both fighters. It was a great fight. And the fight before that, holy shit, what a great fight. Those guys, I mean, that looked like a Rocky movie. The fight right before Porter Thurman, I can't remember who the guys' names were, but damn, that was a fun fight to watch. I mean, a 10th round, I think it was a 10th round stoppage in the last round, but they just beat the crap out of each other, man. It was a 154 fight, if I'm not mistaken. And, I mean, that was probably the best PBC card we've had. Those 2 fights was probably and Porter Thurman was a great fight. It was a good stylistic matchup. I'm sorry, man, I'm sour about it. I thought Sean Porter won that fight. I mean, if you watch this Porter Thurman fight and then Porter Brook, you can see that Brook won the fight. This fight didn't look like that. But let me know what you guys think. I might be in the minority on this. I know a lot of other people have said they thought Porter won. Let me know who you think won. What was your scorecard? Which rounds did you give to who? And what do you think each fighter could have done better? But I'm about to go on in the house and go get showered up and go have a good weekend, and you guys do the same. All right, peace.